Welcome back to All-Star Buzz. Thank you for joining us. Before we start, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. Now, let's begin. I saw the title and immediately knew this was going to be wild. When I first saw these clips going around and people telling me I had to watch them, I already knew it was going to be bad. And let me tell you, it absolutely is. Just look at the title of this View episode. Who should lead the Democratic Party? That right there tells you everything you need to know. They don't even have a leader, bro.
It's a question. Who's in charge? Who's the leader of the Democratic Party, Governor? And I said, the people are. There is not going to be a charismatic leader right in it. It is going to be people coming out on a beautiful Friday afternoon, demanding change and holding people accountable.
Yeah, well, And voters also said they're looking for leadership, you know? And so I guess the question is, which Democrat do you see stepping up to lead the party? I mean, I don't know if you can wait for somebody to step up and lead the party. I think he's not wrong when he says the party is us. And what are we prepared to do? I say you gotta, check on your schools, depending on where you live. You gotta find out what's going on with your Medicare, Medicaid, who the doctors are and what they're going to do to help you. Because if we wait for somebody to come up and lead us, a lot more people are going to fall, I think, by the wayside.
Except that you need...
They want to sit there talking crazy about Trump, talking nonsense about Elon Musk, attacking people who support Trump, but they can't even figure out who's leading their own party. That's insane. They literally don't have an actual leader. So now they're turning to Whoopi Goldberg. Is she supposed to be the leader now or something? I'm just assuming because she's always talking first on the show, I guess. But seriously, out of all people, why her? And I say that because it's clear none of them actually think before they speak. They just blurt out whatever comes to mind. But what makes her think she's qualified to lead anything? This right here is exactly why the Democratic Party is in such disarray today. There are so many important issues to focus on: schools, the economy, national security. But instead, they're letting someone like Whoopi, who clearly doesn't know what she's talking about half the time, represent them. It's no wonder they're completely lost when it comes to actual leadership.
Fall, I think, by the wayside.
Except that you need somebody to sort of lead the way, somebody to tell them why they're out there. Don't look at me, Whoopi.
Now she's joyous.
No, I think that you do need a leader in many ways. I was looking at the stats here. And,
here's the stats,
not
y'all.
one, AOC, Kamala, Bernie, Hakeem, Barack, Newsom, none of them have more than 9% of the approval of the party as a leader. And you need somebody who's going to tell them, look.
Who did she say? Y'all listen to this. Hold on, where's the list, y'all? Hold on.
Stats here. And, not one, AOC, Kamala, Bernie, Hakeem, Barack, Newsom, none of them.
This whole situation has me completely thrown off. No lie. Let's talk about these so-called leaders: AOC, Hakeem Jeffries, Kamala Harris, even Barack Obama, if we're being real. Nobody's excited about any of them taking charge of the Democratic Party right now. And honestly, I'm not surprised at all. Not even a little bit surprised. But here's what really gets me. People aren't listening to them anymore. And can you blame them? With everything going on in this country, look at what these leaders are offering. Every single name she just mentioned? Absolute train wrecks when you really look at it. But you know what's crazy? They all have one thing in common. Their entire platform is just hating Donald Trump. That's it. They're not discussing actual policies that help people. They're not putting forward real solutions for Americans struggling right now. Nothing substantial at all. Just constant complaining. Trump bad, Elon Musk bad. Let's go riot. Let's scream and shout. Let's burn things down. That's their whole movement now. And this right here is exactly why the Democratic Party keeps losing ground every single day. While they're busy throwing tantrums about Trump and Musk, regular people are dealing with real problems: gas prices, grocery bills, safety in their neighborhoods.
They obviously see
in many ways. I was looking at the stats here. And, not one, AOC, Kamala, Bernie, Hakeem, Barack, Newsom, none of them have more than 9% of the approval of the party as a leader. And you need somebody who's going to tell them, look, The reason we have to help, this is something that bothers me in this country with people. They don't understand certain things. Like they were against giving money to Ukraine, for example. And one of the arguments from that is that, well, why don't you use the money here instead of giving it to these Ukrainian people? Well, when we give the money to you here, you call it socialism and turn on the Democrats. So somebody needs to get out there and explain these things to people.
That's also not true. You're correct, but the money that goes to Ukraine is actually spent in the U.S.
Building
weapons,
they don't say
contributing
that
to
either.
our GDP.
I think Democratic voters say 2-1. They want party leaders to fight rather than compromise.
Vote.
But do you hear these politicians talking about that? Nah, it's all performative outrage, all the time. Meanwhile, let's talk about Whoopi's role in all this. She's sitting pretty in that fancy studio chair, getting her makeup professionally done, collecting a massive paycheck to spout nonsense. And when the cameras turn off, she's got security escorts, personal assistants, an entire team shielding her from reality. She doesn't have to live with the consequences of the chaos she helps create on that show, but the people watching at home, they're stuck dealing with the mess every single day. Let's break this down real talk. She's got a whole team that escorts her in black SUVs straight to some gated mansion. I don't even know where Sunny's house is exactly, but come on, we all know it's in some luxury neighborhood behind security gates. She doesn't have to worry about protesters showing up at her door, vandalizing her property, or any of that real-world mess. But here's what really gets me. All these Democratic millionaires with their multiple vacation homes, their $10 minus 30 million net worths, their lake houses and beach properties, they're the same people telling regular folks to go out and riot in the streets. They want working-class Americans to risk arrest, to destroy property, to put everything on the line while they sit safe in their guarded mansions.
2-1. They want party leaders to fight rather than compromise, even at the risk of not getting things done. And I think that's what we're seeing. Yes, you want people to be able to exercise their First Amendment rights to protest and to get into the streets, get out there and say, this is what we want. But we know that this administration is not playing by the rules. They're certainly not playing by the Constitution, and people are now being arrested for exercising their constitutional rights. So you do need a leader. I've said it over and over again. This is not about being a resistance party. That's very passive. This is about being an opposition party, which is an action. That's very, very active. And when you look at leaders that it seems that people are supporting, you're looking at the Jasmine Crockett, who doesn't care, who's going to fight for you. You're looking at the Al Green with his cane, who's saying, my constituents need Medicaid. You're looking at that. Doesn't care, who's going to fight for you. You're looking at the Al Green with his cane, who's saying, my constituents need Medicaid. You're looking at that. You're looking at, I would say, an AOC. Her name keeps on coming up because she's out there every single day saying, this is what we need to do. So what I want to see is I want to see somebody meet energy with energy. I want to see a Democratic leader that doesn't capitulate, that doesn't make deals with the other side when the other side is interested in making deals. It's their way or the highway. Let's see a leader that's willing to fight.
Okay.
Wake up, people. These rich elites aren't facing any consequences. They're not the ones getting arrested when protests turn violent. They're not the ones whose cars get vandalized just for driving a Tesla through the wrong neighborhood. Have you seen those videos? Regular people getting attacked just because of what kind of car they drive. Meanwhile, the wealthy politicians and television personalities egging this on, they're completely insulated from the chaos. They'll never have to deal with smashed windows or angry mobs at their gated communities. They'll never face real consequences for the division they're creating. I honestly don't understand how anyone still listens to these hypocrites. They've created this toxic environment where violence against certain people is somehow justified, where destroying property is celebrated as activism. But when the rubber meets the road, they're nowhere to be found, just watching safely from their luxury homes while ordinary Americans pay the price. This is beyond ridiculous now. We're talking about attacking regular people who might not even follow politics just because they drive a certain car? Whether they know what's going on or not, it's their business. They paid for that vehicle with their own money. But no, she wants to act like this behavior is somehow justified.
I break a little bit with Sunny on that, and I think this is the infighting you're seeing on the left.
I'm an independent, but I'm a left-leaning independent. So when I look at this fight, there's about 65%, like Sonny, who want the resistance, the fight, at the expense of getting nothing done. That just does not track in my mind. 32%.
Why is it at the expense of getting nothing done?
No, they're saying they would fight even at the expense of seeing nothing done.
Nothing
and to me,
done.
that's
Republicans aren't good. They're going to do what they want to do.
But my point here, like James Carville has said before, there's a resistance within the party that also believes strategically letting them hang themselves.
Yeah.
Don't get out of the way. Don't be passive. But they are hanging themselves. You've got court cases that are coming down the road of all of these 24 cases. All this stuff is happening. I know people are hurting, and I can relate, as Alyssa Slotkin said here, to the rage. We all share the anger in the reaction, but our solutions come at different angles. I am looking for everyone in DC to stop looking at it as a basketball game where we win, we lose, we fight, and they get stuff done.
Yeah.
Right now, the censures and the ceremonial, like, you know, we have a paddle and we have a pink shirt and they need a leader, because without a leader, they don't coalesce around the same cause. The thing Republicans did well, and they won this election because of it, is they had two clear messages. They repeated it over and over: immigration and economics, over and over again. Democrats don't have clear messaging because they stand for every damn thing.
I'm telling you, this mentality is something else entirely. We need real leadership with actual fight and substance. But look who she named as potential leaders: Jasmine Crockett and Al Green. Seriously? Let's be honest here. Jasmine Crockett? Out of all the possible choices? And Al Green talking about Kane. What does that even have to do with leading a political party in 2024? What's really noticeable is how race keeps coming into this. Now, I'm not the type to normally focus on this stuff. We're all human beings at the end of the day. But look at the pattern. She didn't mention a single white Democrat as potential leadership. Not one. In all the clips I've seen about Democratic leadership, it's shocking she didn't even bring up Hakeem Jeffries, especially since, if you watch my videos regularly, you know, I've pointed out how she usually finds a way to mention him. This selective vision tells you everything about where their priorities really lie. Instead of focusing on who's actually qualified or has good ideas, we're stuck with this divisive nonsense. How can anyone take this party seriously when this is the level of discussion coming from their media allies? The hypocrisy is absolutely staggering. I was certain Sunny would mention Hakeem Jeffries. That's usually her go-to move. But here's the uncomfortable truth everyone's avoiding. Her behavior reveals a clear pattern. Watch how she treats certain people differently based on, well, you know exactly what I mean. It's honestly depressing to witness. The double standards are so obvious, they're painful.
Well, I don't know about
I mean, I'm not happy with messaging because they stand for every damn thing.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm not happy with either party. I'm still a registered Republican. I'm voting for a local Republican in elect. I think that, not to put too fine of a note on it, Democrats are in a bit of an existential crisis. Right now, you have people leaving blue states to red states 3-1. The two moderate Dems that were in the Senate, Manchin and Tester, one lost, one retired. That means that the Senate control is out of reach for Democrats, likely for probably about a decade, because you're not likely to win in those states that are increasingly more right-wing. And I think it's because the party is moving away from moderation. I understand, like, the base, you have to cater to that. Well, the Republicans have. I'm acknowledging that.
Republicans are radical.
Nobody's a Republican that's...
This might be the most racially charged commentator out there right now. Whether on YouTube or X, every time I check my feed, there's another example staring me in the face. Now, I'm not here to sling insults or call names. That's not my style. But let's call out the insanity when we see it. She's out here demanding regular people risk everything to protest while accomplishing absolutely nothing concrete. No real change, no solutions. Just performative outrage that leaves everyone worse off. I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be the most absurd political commentary I've heard all year. The disconnect from reality is breathtaking. While working Americans struggle with real problems, this is what passes for leadership discussion. It's beyond parody at this point. Let's talk about Sarah Haynes for a moment. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not typically a Sarah Haynes fan, but what she just said, that was undeniable truth. I can't even pretend to disagree, especially with that last point. If you're watching this and disagreeing with her final statement, you need to wake up. She's absolutely right about them standing for way too much nonsense. Here's the crazy part. They claim to stand for everything, but when you look closer, it's all empty imitation. Remember Kamala Harris suddenly trying to copy Trump's playbook?
Critical of Republicans than me, but Democrats, I think, need to wake up to the fact that they're beholden to their progressive base, which is making them lose national elections. And then if you look at the fact working class voters and young voters are moving away from Democrats, they need a message that's more than anti-Trump. It needs to be, here is what we are for, here's how we're investing in communities, but simply being a resistance party is not winning.
But do you meet a radical message with a
1 minute she's against border security, next minute she's giving speeches about immigration. First, she's for tax hikes, then suddenly she's against them too. It's pathetic, like watching a bad cover band trying to perform someone else's hits. The Democratic Party has completely lost its original spark when it comes to Trump. They've become nothing but reactionaries, just echoing whatever they think will get a response instead of having real convictions. You heard what Sarah said. They're literally recycling Trump's policies while pretending they came up with them. That's exactly why he won by a landslide before, and why they're so visibly frustrated with each other right now. The infighting is actually hilarious to watch. This right here, this is the smoking gun proving why the Democratic Party is collapsing before our eyes. When your entire strategy is copying your opponent while abandoning your own principles, you deserve to lose. The American people see through the act. They want authentic leadership, not this embarrassing flip-flopping circus. This is exactly why they're failing. Watch how Sunny just nods along while Joy calls Republicans radicals and hurls insults. That's their whole strategy, name-calling and outrage. But here's the truth. That approach has an expiration date. You can only scream, "I hate Trump," so many times before people start asking, okay, but what are you actually offering? Think about it. They've got voters riled up about Trump, about Elon, about Republicans. But where's the substance? Where's their actual vision? When all you do is complain about the other side without presenting real solutions, people eventually tune out. This isn't just speculation. We're seeing it happen. Over 300,000 registered Democrats have left the party recently, and this toxic approach is exactly why. The irony? While Joy and Sunny are busy ranting about Trump, their own party has no leadership, no direction. The fact that they're even asking, who should lead the Democratic Party? Tells you everything. And did you notice how quickly they cut away from that discussion? Because they know it exposes their biggest weakness. They've got nothing positive to offer, just endless negativity. Even Sarah Haynes, who claims to be independent but left-leaning, plays the same tired game. It's all performative outrage with zero substance. Until they realize Americans want solutions, not just insults, this downward spiral will only continue. The writing's on the wall. People are waking up to the emptiness of their message. The hypocrisy keeps piling up. You've got Alyssa flip-flopping on every issue, Sunny Hostin and Joy Behar screaming about Trump while offering zero solutions, and Whoopi, well, just being Whoopi. Let's be real, when was the last time she actually said something meaningful? I literally fast-forward through her segments because it's always the same empty rambling. These people keep demanding others go protest and fight. But for what? So more innocent people can have their Teslas vandalized by angry mobs? That's not activism, that's just sad and destructive. And Whoopi? Half the time she's just mumbling nonsense, probably thanks to whatever's in that mysterious cup she's always sipping from. I challenge you, go back and watch any episode. Try to find one concrete thing Whoopi has said that actually helped anyone. Just one. You can't because she never does. She's become a living metaphor for the Democratic Party's emptiness. Lots of noise, zero substance. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think about this circus. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you're tired of this nonsense too. Appreciate all of you for keeping it real. Catch you in the next video where we'll keep exposing these hypocrites.